This is your music. Hey guys, how's everybody doing tonight? Welcome to Living Hopefuls Recovery Chat. Tonight we have special guests with us, Christina down at the end. She has been with us before, so those of you who have tuned in before, she's back. And she is here tonight. She brought her mother, Tina, and her sister, Amy. Tonight we're going to be just recapping a small bit of Christina's fast forward story, and then we're going to take we're going to listen to Tina and Amy discuss what they went through during Christina's addiction and into recovery. If you have any questions, comments, please feel free to throw them into the comments. I will let you know when we open up the call-in line. We're going to hear from each one first, and then we'll have you go ahead and call in if you have any questions that you want to ask any one of the girls. And I just ask you to be mindful. This is a recovery chat. This is a place where you can come and feel comfortable and talk about what is on your mind without judgment. So please be mindful of, how you're treating our guests. And we will not be discussing politics or religion, too heated conversations, so we don't want to get into that here on the show. That's not what this is about. We're going to share some hope and strength. That's what this show was built on. This is what Living Hopeful was built on. And please feel free to share this out, and never know who wants to get help, and they just don't realize that there's help out there. We are here to help those that are struggling with a loved one that is in any level of their addiction, whether they are still active, relapsing, in rehab, or in recovery. So we're here to share our experience, give you the strength and the hope that we all need with this disease. So please feel free to enter those comments. And with that, we're going to open the floor here to Christina. She's going to just go over a little bit about herself, and then we're going to hear from Mom.
Okay. Hey guys, I'm Christina. I'm an addict and alcoholic. Gonna try to do this a little bit quicker than I did last time I was here. I will start off with, well, first off, if you see me or my sister look at each other and start cracking up laughing, we do this because we're nervous. It's just a thing. So it's not that we're not taking this serious. We were laughing when Lori was speaking just because we're idiots and we're nervous. So I'll start off with my sobriety date is April 3rd, 2017. So God willing, when we wake up in the morning, we will have 4 years. And I say we because this is a we program. It's a we program because I couldn't have done this without my family. Couldn't have did it without my parents, my sister, my brother. I couldn't have did it without the families like Lori's. I couldn't have did it without Living, the CA program, my boyfriend, my kids, none of that. And, it's not an I program. Just like, the people that I met in sobriety, I wouldn't have beat this thing. And I was out there for a very long time. I just wasn't out there beating like heroin addiction for like 10 years. I was drinking since I was like 16. And I'm not going to tell you how I ran my life through the mud for, 30 something years, because it would take all night. And what I'm here tonight to tell you is how I ran my family through the mud for 30 something years. And like the last 10 to 15 of it was horrible. And there might have been like a couple years like where they enabled me. And I really don't like that word, because they didn't enable me where they said, oh, I see you're sick, take $20, because they never, at least I don't remember a time where they said, oh, Chrissy, I see you're sick, take $20. Like, there was even times where, like, I had to go to rehab, and I remember telling my mom, like, can I just please have $10 and I'll go? And that was a no. Like, her and my sister took me to Living Green anyway, and, like, I didn't get that $10. And, I stole from them and everything, like, before going away, but there were times where, like they knew I was high, and, like, they knew I was drunk and stuff like that, and, like, you could have called that enabled and things like that, and they didn't put me away. But I wouldn't say they enabled me where they gave me money and stuff like that, but maybe they let me run the streets. And there was, and, some people don't like the words like tough love and stuff like that, and they gave me tough love at some points, but there were times where they had to, like, separate themselves from me, and there were times where I just completely broke their heart, and I seen it in their face, and you know what? I still did it. And it's not that I looked at them when I broke their heart and I said, you know what, fuck you, I don't care. It broke my heart, and I still did it. I still looked at them, I still looked in their eyes, and I still did it, and it killed me. And, I have friends that said, I looked at my mom and my dad and said, I don't care. Like, I need that next one. And it killed me, and it did. And, at the one point in time where I hung myself, that was one of the hardest decisions of my life. Because it was just easier to take myself out and hurt them. Just hurt them that last time. And just end this. And I shared this last time. But just end it. Like, end it for them and end it for me and get it over with. Just get this all over with. And, I know a lot of people deal with this. A lot of families deal with it. And I'm here to tell you, that's not what your family wants. That is not what your family wants. I was so stupid for thinking that. Like, what would my kids do right now, like, without a mother? Like, what would my family do? Like, we wouldn't be able to celebrate tomorrow. Like, I wouldn't be here to tell you, like me and my mom, we don't get to spend, like, a lot of nights together because, like, I'm too busy with work and meetings, and, like, I'm with my boyfriend because I'm trying to, like, build a future with somebody, like, a recovery future and a life future and a family future. Like, I don't get to spend a lot of time with my family now. And, like, I spent the night with, like, my mother, and that's not something I get to do a lot. And, like, my mom and my sister, and we call my sister Gam Gam, and, like she stayed up on a Friday night, like, to do a show with me. Like, that's not something. She's shaking her head. Don't call her Gam Gam, anybody. She'll kill me. I'm in trouble. I'm in so much trouble. But you know what? Like, that's what recovery, like, gave me. Like things like that. And, like, I heard on Malcolm in the Middle when I got home from work today, it said something like, we bust on each other, and that's, like, affection. Like that's how we show it in our family. And, like, this program, like, I work CIA, and it's, like, hope, faith, and courage. And, like, Lori's, like, show and everything is based on hope. And that's what this program gave me. I didn't have hope for a long time. And then when you come into this program, you build hope. And then when you see hope, then you build faith. And then, like, when you have all that last little piece you get is courage. And courage is, like, a hard thing to get. Like, a lot of people be like, yeah, I have courage. Like, a lot of it's fake, and you put that courage on in front of people. But to get real courage, like, in your life to do things, like, that's big. And, like, you get that serenity in your life. And then, like, as you get, like, older and older and older, like my mom, like, you'll get, like, some wisdom.
Yeah.
Like, I'll get there. And,
agree.
like, but, like this program and, like, everything is, like, based on a lot of that. And, like, I know I just, like, put all this crap into, like, a couple minutes, but, like, I want to hear, like, my mom's and sisters, like, take on it. And, like, I know what recovery gave me. And, like, when I was here 2 weeks ago, I told you my story. But, like, I want to hear, like, their part on it. And, like, anybody listening, like, based on a family aspect or an addict's aspect or an alcoholic's aspect, I'm here to tell you, like, your family doesn't want you to kill yourself. Your family wants you to get better. And, like, if you're there, like, that tough love aspect, like, if you got to give it to, like, your loved one, give it. But, like, always be there when they need your hand, like, to get help. Like, just say, no, I'm not going to give you that money, but listen, I'm willing to take you anywhere you want to go to get help. When they want you to take somewhere to get help, like, please do that for them. Because there's places anywhere, like, you need to go. But that's all I have.
Thank you, Christina, for sharing that and just giving us a recap. A lot of us were here 2 weeks ago when Christina was here. And she shared a lot of information for those out there. Hoping that parents are watching this and seeing what our addicts go through during their runs, they call them, and the steps they take to recover. And it's not easy. It's definitely not easy when you have to put your family through some of the things that they're put through during addiction. So, with that, we're going to talk with Tina and see her feelings towards Christina's addiction and where we're at today with her and the family unit. So, Tina?
So do you want me to go back to when she wasn't in addiction and then to now?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, just give us a brief.
You know, for parents out there
Yeah.
who are dealing with their child in addiction.
Like the first
Yeah.
time, like,
Oh yeah, it's a nightmare. It's shocking. It's, if anybody would know Christina, you would have never thought it in a million years that she would get into drugs or anything. So when she first did, it was shocking, because we've always been a really close-knit family. So when she was in it, we were in it too, because we seemed to do everything like together, but it was like the whole mental part. We were all sick. I mean, her illness became our illness. And I guess we did have to step back a little. I mean, like, me and her father tried, like, bribing, we've tried beating, we've tried putting her away over and over again, thinking we could always have the upper hand. We can change this. We can make this happen. But it came to a point, and it was just, for other parents out there, it is a nightmare. You go to bed at nighttime and thoughts go through your head of the worst ever. And guess what? It happens to many of our kids today. Even when they're adults, it happens. Mm-hmm. But once I think I just got to a point where I couldn't go no further. And I had to have some kind of faith somewhere. And I remember Christina was living at her brother's, and I still kind of was like, what's she doing? This and that, and she okay? And I just had to take it to a point and just think, something's got to, give. But you know what? It was really up to her. She's the one who finally gave up and decided to do, I'm going to, change this. I can't keep doing this. And again, we've had her in numerous rehabs. That didn't always work. The only thing is, whenever she would come out of rehab and, they would say go to meetings and stuff like that, her father would be, nervous and scared. Like, no, I don't want her going there because that's where, they can get drugs at and all,
There's a bunch of addicts in there. You don't want to go there.
Well, let me tell you, the program that she went to, her meetings and stuff like that, not only as us as a family were supportive to her and was there for her, but at her meetings, I think that's where she could kind of really connect. And she has met so many good people from there. All her friends, that I meet, I love her friends. I really do. And they're all from her meetings. They were all addicts. You know what I mean? I was a child of an addict. But nothing's worse than having your child as an addict. It totally changes your life around. Mm-hmm. But Chrissy has made she impresses me to come from that point of her life of practically being dead. I mean, there was okay, this is what's going to happen. We're just going to have to get through this. This is what's going to happen. So for her to come up, and, she goes to her meetings every week. She's there to help other people. I'm proud that, you know, my child went through this experience, not only is helping herself, but helping other people. So, I mean, that's the good part of recovery,
Helping the family unit
is
too.
helping just all around. I mean, you gotta, as a parent, you have to kind of let go. You have to let them live their own life. Like, you can't, they're not little kids anymore. Where
Right.
you could say you're punished or
Right.
whatever. And you can't sit there and make their choices for them.
Now,
You gotta
Tina,
kinda
did
let 'em
you
do
do any type of program yourself, like Al-Anon,
Al-Anon,
Nar-Anon?
I tried Al-Anon. But then I felt like I really did feel like, oh gosh, I don't know. I felt like I was an addict, I guess you could say. I mean, of course, I went to Al-Anon, a few of those meetings and stuff like that. Tell you the truth, I think I got a lot more from like her meetings and just, I don't know.
And I found that too. I found that Al-Anon wasn't a fit for me, and it's an amazing program.
It is. It
It's
helps
an
a lot of
amazing
people.
program, and it's a matter of you wanting it and you embracing that program. And not every program's the same, so you should try different programs. Nar-Anon, also an amazing program, and it's just working on yourself. When you first walk into this, you walk into a meeting and you're like, okay, how do I fix them? How do I get this done? And you learn that you're only there to figure out how to help yourself through such, devastation.
Yeah, it's very traumatic. It's traumatic for the whole family. I mean, and then it comes to a point where everybody's fighting each other and, because this one's, sticking up for her or, you know what I mean? Like, it becomes just a whole family mess.
Yeah.
And like I said, like, Al-Anon and all, can help people. I mean, because it's a very scary place to be in.
Right.
So if you have people, that you can talk to and are going through the same thing as you are, that could be supportive.
I know that for me, Al-Anon and Nar-Anon were just not my fit. I'm a talker, so, and I want somebody to tell me how to fix my loved one. And through Living Grin, they have the family parent group. And I found so much help there through that meeting. And just to be able to talk about it. And when you're angry with your loved one, you can go in and
Vent off.
vent and
Yeah.
then get the suggestions and get the hope from it, because it's scary.
It is. It's scary. It's traumatic. It's a nightmare for parents, siblings, family members. It is. It's traumatic, and I mean, I don't want to see anybody go through that. But I know, and I know in my heart, and I know in my head, I cannot fix that.
Right.
I would do nothing but make myself literally sick. Do you know what I mean? So, and it didn't fix it.
No.
It only just made everything worse. So,
Right. And not because I hear a lot of parents that they can't get out of bed. They're just, the depression hits them so hard.
it can do that to you.
It causes so much medical issues
Yes.
because of the stress and the worry on the, are they going to make it? Will they be one to get out of this and get out of it alive?
Well, yeah, I mean, like, the night, it's hard because when it's your child, the nightmares go through your head of, oh my God, this is how I'm going to find her. This is how she's going to die. This is what's, and it's just the worst thing. It's like, so you don't want to get up and face kind of the day.
Right.
You know what I mean? A lot of times I would suggest, for parents that you need to make sure you get up and go to work. Make sure you keep your mind and stuff going, and don't focus on that because it'll
Right.
kill you.
Yeah.
So-
You need to focus on yourself and inside yourself just to keep yourself strong to deal with all of that. I remember seeing a meme, and it's like, what am I feeling? Like, I'm hurt, I'm angry, I'm scared, like the fear. And I remember seeing a meme that said, a parent's worst nightmare is grieving a child that's still alive. And I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah,
that's
because-
what I'm
yeah.
feeling.
And
That's,
when they're when your child's in addiction, you don't know that person anymore.
no.
You're just like, who is that person?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that person. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Now, were you able to, when she was at her worst, and maybe, I don't know if she was, I'm sure you were not the most pleasant person to be around when you were needing a substance in your body, but were you able to separate Christina from the drug?
separate her from the drug?
Yeah, like,
No.
no.
She would know, no lie. And sometimes I would even believe her. Like, she would tell me these things of what she was doing, and she had work and this and that. And then, after a while, you're like, wait a minute.
Uh-huh.
Hold on a second. Like, okay, now your story just ain't right,
Right.
And I would believe her, and I'd be like, okay, she got me.
Mm-hmm.
All right, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know there's points where they're mean, they're nasty.
One thing I could say though, oh God, I can't remember a time where she's been mean or nasty to
Oh,
me.
well, that's good.
I would kind of,
She would yell back at me.
yeah,
but
I would never physically touch anybody.
No,
Mm-hmm.
I made the mistake of touching her one time right outside of Living Grin.
Yeah, she
I
beat the
almost,
shit
like,
out of me.
I did. I had her brother and her father go down and go get her
Uh-huh.
and bring her butt to Living Grin. And when she got out of that vehicle, I gave it to her.
She did.
It was the wrong thing to do. I should have never did that. But you know what
But
I mean?
you know what? At the moment, that's what you.
I was
you're-
like, oh my God, she not only put herself in danger, she put her dad and her brother in danger. And that's just all the thoughts were in my
and
head.
it's your
you know?
fear. It's the fear that takes over your body. Like,
Yeah,
you
so
lose control.
I
It's,
think the only thing she ever did, she was a little nasty, but
Mm-hmm.
she'd fight back with me kind of thing. But
I never harmed my
She
parents or
never-
siblings.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was worse, actually. I would have rather her be angry and mean than she would come really sweet when she was high. So how
Yeah.
are you supposed to be?
Yeah.
How are you supposed to, treat her when she's all sweet, giving you a gift, but she's high?
oh
as a
yeah,
kite?
she was good at that. Giving gifts,
She
yeah.
probably
Yeah.
stole something from my bedroom and then tried to gift it to me for my birthday at
Yeah.
2 in the morning after she forgot. so,
Here, I'm regifting.
Whoops.
how are you
Yeah.
supposed to be? How are you supposed to even act towards that?
Yeah. Christina, are you a regifter?
They found out. I'm caught red-handed.
No, I think that maybe her guilt, maybe it was guilt.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And she was like, oh, I just get my mom these, pretty yellow flowers, and I'll get Amy this, and
yeah.
things that we liked.
I
and,
did do that a lot. I
yeah.
did it with
Yeah.
the kids too. Like I felt like if I
This'll
I
make
felt like
up
if I
for
went
it.
and like I bought my drugs, if I always saved like $5 and like I got the kids a Happy Meal, like I always thought, and that's a God honest truth. I always thought if I saved or if I took them to the dollar store and I got them, I just always thought it
Something.
was like okay, yeah, and like I was never like I hurt other people physically, but I never my parents or siblings or like kids. I physically always hurt other people. I would never hurt them.
Yeah, because she's not really crazy, but she never did none of that. The crazy stuff she did to her husband, she didn't do to me. I mean, her dad or nothing. Or her dad would have killed her, but, that's beside the point. But some of the stuff she's done, I'm like, oh my God. She is our kid, ain't she?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's hard. It's hard when you're dealing with them in that moment because here they are, they're giving you stuff and you just want to strangle her, but then you're like, oh, she's doing better. She's I think she's doing better.
Amy I would be blinded a lot.
Right.
Because I wanted to see different.
Right. Exactly.
So, do you know what I mean? So I was kind of blinded where Amy more or less can see more than I did.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Denial's just not a river. It's
Yeah.
it's our biggest shield. It's what keeps us sane sometimes.
Right.
It
But
really-
but when she was in addiction, she would like to stay away from us, I think, more. Yeah, she wasn't as close as she normally is, and, you know,
Right.
that was hard. Like, your kids always grow up, and they live their own lives.
Right.
But,
And
you know.
they kind of go off and that's hard. That's hard enough.
It is hard. That's hard enough. Like,
It's hard when that nest because
Eddie says she's still a regifter.
I know. He's gonna get it tonight.
so it's hard when you're just trying to figure it out for them.
the only
We're-
thing is like, one thing I can say, and through all these years and everything, you can't, from one parent to tell another parent, you can't figure it out for them.
Right.
Sorry, and you just can't. The only thing you can do is be there when they fall.
Mm-hmm.
Just be there.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I came to the conclusion and the point of doing is okay. Because I remember the last time when, you know, she was put away, I had to go to the crisis center or something, and the only thing is like, I can just be here for you. That's
Mm-hmm.
it. That's all I can do.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's so hard to get to that point.
Yeah.
That's
It took years.
Yeah. That doesn't happen overnight. It takes a long time just to, you know, say, okay, I can't, there's nothing I can do to help you. I've done everything that I know possible to help you. And I just
Just
Yeah.
came to a point where I could give you my physical body and just sit here with you while, you know, you go through whatever you have to go through. You know what I mean? Like, I felt terrible too for some of the, like, even, you know, they say the illness you go through when you stop doing drugs. That broke my heart too, because I was like, oh my God, I can't believe like my child is going through this. And there's nothing I can do to help.
right.
You know, but yeah, and how many years was it that, and how many years did it take me to get to that point of just being, I can just be a physical body here for when you need me. You want to talk, you talk. Like,
Right.
you know, that's the only thing I can do.
Yeah, but I mean, when they're growing up, it's like you can tell me anything. I'm here for you. You know, trust me. This is nothing you do or say. I'm here.
It's the only thing you can do,
And-
kind of.
Yeah. But you do that before they're even in addiction. You do that when they're babies. Like, you know, if you need to talk, I'm here. I'm listening. I can, you know.
You know what though? That always, like, you know, I always did that too as a parent, to say, oh, you could always come and talk to me or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But then I always got that feeling from them. They were always afraid to come. Still, no matter what,
And
to
I
really
think
come to really come to me and talk to me.
But I
about
think that's
something.
the normal with
You know?
with anybody, and because it's she's going to come to her sister before she comes to mom. I mean, and that's the nice thing, because you have the siblings, you have the family members, and yeah, they're going to come to the sister, the brother.
I mean, yeah, she always knows I'm here for whatever she needs to talk to. But Christina, I have kids my kids, they've always had very high anxiety. All three of my kids. So have I. We've all had very high anxiety. So to actually talk personally, I guess, about how they really feel inside, I guess going to a parent, like, you know what I mean, to your parent.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? You're scared to death. You don't want to.
I don't talk to anybody.
Yeah, she really, my kids don't they're not like that. Like Chrissy's definitely, she likes to keep her mouth shut.
She likes to keep it inside and just let it build and build and build until it explodes. Yeah. Remind
Yeah.
me not to be there when that happens.
I'm a texter.
You know, it's funny because we were just talking about it the other day, you know, like when she was little, you know, she used to write me notes about everything. She would never come to me and just talk to me. It would
Right.
always be, I'll write her a note.
It's too emotional.
Yeah. She always found everything to be emotional.
Yeah.
So.
And journaling is very therapeutic. It's very common for people on active addiction to get into journaling. It's a way to get their emotions and thoughts out because they're not very good at verbally expressing themselves and they're not comfortable with verbally expressing themselves. So that's actually very good that you did that as a child, and it helped you get out what you were trying to say. And it's recommended for a lot of people in recovery to journal. Put it down what you're saying, even if you're the only one that reads it.
Yep.
It's very therapeutic.
I
I
know.
mean, also that's where addiction comes in at too. People who are not very always comfortable around other people, feeling themselves, that kind of thing, seem to more to go to alcohol, drugs, and stuff like that.
Right. And you see,
Probably a very large majority.
yeah,
you
you
know.
see a lot of them bringing it out in poem and music.
She was always a writer. I still have letters that she wrote me when she was in addiction. I figure one day I'll pull them out, but I still have letters from her from when she was in rehab, everything. I still have all that.
Yeah, I was a big journalist too. Just journal, because it's 3:00 in the morning when your mind is racing and you can't sleep or you're just thinking. So nobody's around who you're gonna call at 3:00 in the morning. So you just journal it. It helped me through a lot of really difficult times. So, and I keep it. I don't, and if you do journal, it's your choice to journal, get it out, throw it in a bowl, throw it in fire, whatever, throw it out, or keep it and read it back. Like, oh my gosh, this is 10 years, and you're cleaning junk drawers and everything, and you're like, oh wow, and you sit for half an hour reading.
I haven't
All
read them. I haven't read them because right now at the point, I think, like where we're at and she's at or whatever, I don't want to go back to the past. And I don't want to dwell on the past.
Right.
I want to dwell on what she's doing right now. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
That's what I want to dwell on,
Yes.
not the past. Of course, they're going to come up. Maybe
Right.
when I'm dead and gone, they'll come up and they'll all be going through my things and finding everything. But no, I don't want to dwell on, the past.
Yeah. But I know some people do like to go back and like, this is where I was. This is where I was, and this is how far I've
For her,
come.
it might be good, but
My wife would make a great archaeologist because she's great at digging up the past.
no, you got to learn to let the past go. Let it go.
Well, I know,
You know, like-
10 years ago, I wrote her a letter. I finally, admitted, I was alcoholic. I always knew I was an addict, but I finally got out of, I had, a bad weekend, and, I wrote her, and I was like, listen, I finally think I'm an alcoholic, too. I'm not just an addict now, I'm an alcoholic, too. I gotta leave it go. And remember the next weekend, the kids went away again, and I said, I'm gonna go out for the weekend. And she's like, do you forget, what you wrote last weekend? I still have it. And I was like, oh, shit. And I actually thought about that in the shower this morning, this afternoon after work, so that's weird. But that was, actually hard to admit. I knew I was an addict, but I didn't think I was an alcoholic.
Right.
I separated those two, completely.
Right.
And I wrote that in a letter to you, so you probably have that.
Yeah, I haven't thrown any letters
have
away.
that.
Do you have letters or anything?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
It might be in your big container in the basement.
Probably.
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't think you would throw them out either. I don't know why I even kept on to them, but maybe, she can look back at them and say, hey, oh my God, this is where I was. You know what, too? Her kids are older now. You know what I mean? So she's going to know the feeling. Not as bad as what, she went through, but,
Right. Let's
can help
hope.
her today. Her kids can always look at
Yeah.
that stuff and say, "Oh my,"
She was a
because
strong
it's
woman.
for everybody. It's a slippery road we're on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Now, how do you feel about your children? Do you feel that they're in a safe place? Are you seeing signs that maybe?
Well, every day, and I'm not gonna lie, like I do. Well, it might not be every day, but like I do look at their tendencies, and like I do look at my kids. Like, do they have alcoholic or addict tendencies? My youngest, it's hard because like when my ex does or says things wrong regarding me, he'll be like, "Why is Dad an idiot? Why doesn't he let me stay here longer?" And it's regarding things I did, and Jacob
Right.
doesn't know that, and I can't tell him. So Jacob doesn't know I'm an alcoholic or addict yet. I'm going to tell him. He needs to know.
Right.
Sean and Caleb know. They know what's in their genes. I mean, it does go by your environment too, but it is in your genes.
Yeah.
We all know that. I don't
that's
care what anybody
hereditary.
says.
That's a
Hereditary.
strong.
You're it's in your genes, and it's on both sides of theirs. My Sean, he's like me a lot. He's more me than his father. So I get scared. He doesn't like to be in public places. He has the anxiety. He's extra smart. He doesn't drink. He has his first kind of girlfriend at the age of 17, like that. He's me, and I get scared. My oldest son will be 20, moved to Minnesota this week.
I know.
I've been crying all week. This is hard. Like you
Yeah.
guys said earlier, when your kids move away in general, it's hard. I'm worried about him. Yeah. So like, I have to pray that what I put my family through and what I know about addiction, I have to pray that I don't have to use those skills or that knowledge.
Right.
I have to hope it ends. It's buried here.
Yeah.
I don't even want to say I hope it skipped a generation. Because guess
Right.
what that means? My kids, their kids are going
They're
to deal
gonna-
with it.
Right.
I
Right.
want to hope it burns out and it ends, and I can give them as much knowledge as possible that we could just keep putting a cap in it and a cork on it and just keep ending it, and just keep burying it.
Right.
But I do keep looking at them, and I want to, not that we didn't have the knowledge. We had the DARE program, and I knew my mother's mother died an addict and alcoholic. We had that. Now I'm the DARE program. Like you hear people say that.
Right. And I honestly go back to it won't happen to me. I'm smarter than that. I can do that and not become an addict. So, I think we all have that tendency. So,
I think that I don't know. We're all addicts.
We had a lot of,
Just different
addiction in both
addiction.
of our family.
Yeah.
You talk about skipping a generation. It actually did kind of skip me and her. And I had all the opportunities to become, I worked in the nightclub scene for many years, or
Yeah.
all through the 80s, it was thrown at me, and I was able to drink at home and do things and walk away from it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I constantly told my son that. I said, listen, you got the propensity for addiction. It's on both sides of the family. My
Yeah, it
mother,
didn't
my
matter.
father, my uncle, her father. I mean, it's there. It's in the genes. And I drummed it in them all. I said, be very careful, because you got the propensity for addiction, and that, somehow it caught up with them.
I think, like, I was trying to think of it in my head. So there's like me, my brother, my sister, right? And I personally don't know exactly what me, my brother, my sister touched. I know a lot of what me and my brother touched and stuff like that. And I honestly think, and we were all exposed to the same things. We lived in the same household, same genes, so on and so on. I believe a lot in my heart that if you touch a certain drug, something's lighting up in you and your heart's taking hold of it. I'm sorry. Like that.
it is.
Like, and and everybody who knows my brother, this is out to the world, so I can put my brother out there. My brother loves weed. I don't like weed at all. So my brother loves weed, but he's not one of me. He doesn't define himself as one of me.
Right.
And that's him. An opiate and an alcoholic. Do you know what I mean? So we all have something we're addicted to,
Right.
to in life in general, but like, that's just what my body like found love
Right.
with, you know what I mean? We were all raised in the same household, and that's what we all,
Right. I
know?
think each of us, our receptors need something,
yeah.
whether it's the same thing or something different. You may have, I was reading, wasn't reading, I was watching a show, and there were identical twins. Identical.
Yeah.
Like there was not anything different on either child. One was an addict, one wasn't.
One wasn't.
Because of the brain. You some are missing
It
receptors.
grabs it.
And that Dave Fialco, who is amazing, he does the Narcan training, and oh my gosh, just the education I've gotten from him and his Narcan trainings are unbelievable. You know, I was always just stop. Why are you doing this?
Yeah, whatever. Your
just
body,
stop.
Yep.
But today's drugs are not the drugs of yesteryear where you just can't stop. You know, this is your brain.
Oh
This
yeah,
is your
this
brain.
drug
not
that's
the-
out there is
It's not the 60s and
it's
the
a
70s
killer.
No,
It's a
cocaine
killer.
like
synthetic.
everybody did. It's
Yeah.
not. And when your body, like what I said, like of me and my brother, like we both partied like together. It was what my body picked up. It was just
Right.
it got hooked onto and it loved, you know. And
Right.
Especially opiates. Opiates are a slippery slope.
It's
I
a-
mean, you
it's
could
a
be
whole
prescribed a
different
prescription
nightmare.
opiates after a surgery or such. And some people are fine. They
That's how
take
it's
2 or
stu-
3, and they get over the
Yep.
hump of the pain. They still got the whole bottle left on. But some people at 2, 3, 4, it's off to the races. And that's the first
Yeah.
time they've ever taken them because it immediately gets on the brain. You know, your opiate receptors
Hi,
in the
Mikey.
brain, and if you have that addictive type personality or gene, it can be very detrimental to you. That's why we have like a whole nation of people hooked on opiates because hey, it's prescription. You know, it's the doctor gave them. You know, all of a sudden
Yep.
like your month supplies only lasted 2 weeks and lasted 1 week, and now
The
you got
more,
a
more,
doctor
more.
shopping another doctor. You got 2 prescriptions going. Well, this got so out of hand.
Yep.
Got to the boiling point where like somebody had to do something. So now
Right.
they stopped the doctor shopping, and like, we got a whole nation of people who take the opiates. You can't just stop them.
Nope.
It's
What are they doing?
terrible.
They're out buying
you
heroin.
get that's
It's
exactly how it
horrible.
starts. That's
They
exactly.
don't realize, you know, heroin's pretty much the same as all the other opiates. It's just, you know, a different combination
Mikey
of
said
mixture.
hello.
Right.
Hi, son. Now I think once they've had that, I think it's like the devil, man. It's like it grabs a hold of the
It
body
is.
and it just
It
like,
is.
They say heroin.
Takes
the first
down,
time you
like-
try heroin, you stand a 50% chance of being addicted to heroin. There's no other drug that attacks the brain like that. The human brain. If you should try it a second time, they said that could go to a 75% chance of addiction. I heard at a seminar a doctor come out and say that. I said, my God, that's frightening.
I never heard too much of heroin when I was a kid, but my husband did, and he said that he was always told that's the stuff you don't touch.
It was always like
That
a
is
subculture
something
of the
you do
heroin
not touch.
people
Like,
back
you know,
when
when
I
we were
was a
younger, like, we did everything, but I never knew nothing about heroin.
So the first
that experience
time-
was the first for me.
The first time that my mom and Amy were going to take me to Living Grand, like they took the baby that September that night when we moved up to Ben Salem, and like I thought like I was able to stop. I was just like, I'm gonna stop, and like I called my mom and I was just like, I just can't. And they came over to the apartment and my mom like was like, what are you doing? And I just didn't even want to say heroin. Like I did, because like when you go
She
down
wouldn't
there,
even say the word. She
because
would
when
never
you go
even say
down
that
there, you'll
word.
say like dope. You won't even say the H
Right.
word. And I was an addict, and I didn't even say that word when I went down there. Like that was just a word you didn't say. So and I was sitting on my bed, and she had literally said, she was like, "Is it cocaine?" And I'm like, and I couldn't say. She's like, "Is it crack?" And she literally she had no other drugs. She had nothing, and I was like I'm waiting for her to say it. I'm going through withdrawal. I'm like waiting for her to say the drugs.
Yeah, because I wasn't familiar with
she didn't
heroin.
eat-
I had to tell her what it
So
was.
Yeah,
I
'cause
wouldn't even say it, and I just it was awful. And
I knew every other kind of
she
drug,
didn't
not
even
that.
didn't even think it was that, and I couldn't even get like out of my mouth to say to her, and it was just like it was at that point where I guess she didn't even think I was on that, and I couldn't even believe I was, and that was just like an awful day because like I couldn't even look at them, like when I was in the living
Right.
room parking lot, and like you would think that day was just enough, and like that seed was planted, but it was just such a long road.
Yeah.
After that, it was such
Yeah.
a long freaking road.
Because you have to open up to the program. I
And I
mean,
was-
oh, okay, they fixed me and I'm done and now I'm going out and
I thought
you
it
know.
was taken out my system for that 5 days.
Right.
And my ex-husband was like, let's go. You got to get back to life, like 5
Yep,
days.
you got to take care of them kids.
And it was like, you can't go to meetings because that's where you go to do drugs and have sex with other drug addicts. And
Yeah,
like,
that's what I was always told. Like, you're going to
Yeah.
get drugs from there. But that seemed to be the thing that really helped her through this. Is
Oh, well,
the
yeah.
meetings
It saved my
and,
life.
and what she has going on when she does things with Live and Grin. And that's what she needs to have in her life for the
Right.
rest of her life.
Yep.
Right,
Rest of her life.
right. Now, Amy, I don't want to forget you over here. You're so quiet.
Okay, that's fine.
She's quiet.
How are you with your sister's addiction? Now, I hear a lot of times, yes, you feel left out. You feel like all the attention is on Christina, and you're kind of like on the back burner, like, I'll get to you in a minute. We're dealing with it. I'll get to you in a minute. I'm dealing with this. Did you have a lot of that?
I think I've always lived on the back burner. That's where I'm comfortable. So I'm always like behind the scenes helping everything. That's like my thing. But no, when I think she was in addiction, like, I was always kind of in the background. I think letting everybody else try to, like, Chrissy, all right, she can get clean. Parents, they were parents, so they had all their feelings. Amy was just trying to fix everything. You know, like, Amy was there to take care of the kids when mom and dad still had to work, when Chrissy was in rehab, when their dad was still working. I pretty much raised the kids.
Just stepped up.
Yeah, I mean, like, I always wondered why that she did it, and I don't think she will ever know. I don't think we will.
No.
I don't think there's really an answer for that.
No.
I mean, she drove us crazy. Like, I actually thought I was going crazy because, you know, you'd be like, Chris, did you move this? Did you do this? Like, when she was high, she'd leave things open or this or that, or things would go missing, you know, and then she would, like, stare you right in the face. No, I didn't do that. You actually thought you were going crazy.
Right. and I mean, from what I've learned, that's what they have to do. They have to keep the chaos going. They have to
Yeah, it's
keep us
chaos.
think that we're losing our minds, because they can't get from us if we know their shit.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've found, and I used to kind of just follow around trying to figure out what the hell she was doing. Like I was a little detective. And, like, I mean, I would find pills in her bras. She would cut the stuffing out. And I'd be like, Chris, what is this? And she's like, I swear, if you don't tell Mommy, I won't do it again. I'd be like, okay, like, you can lie to Mommy and Daddy. You're not supposed to lie to your siblings. You know, you're supposed to have that bond. And then when
Right.
she would just do it again, I'd be like, that bitch.
Yeah.
Detective
And, like,
Pikachu.
She did. She used to always do that.
I'd be like,
Yeah.
Mom, I see stuff. She moved that. That's a flat surface. The straws are missing. This is missing. Like,
Yeah.
like I would always try to be one step ahead of her,
Right.
you know. But really, she was the puppet master, and we were all her puppets.
Right.
Like, no matter what we did, we would try to control the situation, but it was out of our control.
Yeah.
And, like, I mean, I feel terrible, but, like, I will admit, I mean, I know she said, like, family members never want them to die, but I will admit, I thought it would be easier if she just did die. Like, I thought it would be quick, we would get over it. But in a way, to me, she did. Like, Chrissy did die. The
Right.
addict right now is dead, and, like, it's a new Chrissy, and that's somebody that we have to get to know. Mm-hmm. It's a total, like, this isn't this isn't my sister growing up with. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, to be honest, part of me, like, now that I think about it, I'm like, all of it did happen for a reason, because, you know, this maybe is who she was always supposed to be. Like,
Was meant to be.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
was just what everybody was just supposed to go through for her to now be this person, because if she didn't go through any of that, I mean, I still see her selfishness, but but she does more for people than I ever thought she would ever do.
Right.
And she had to go through all of
Forgot
that
the damn Kleenex again. I'm
in
sorry.
order to. I mean, yeah, I was thinking about that today. I'm like, oh my God, I hope they don't ask me, like, horrible things. Like, yeah, I did, and I feel terrible because of ever thinking that. I would never want, like, the boys to be like, you wanted my mom dead? Like, I just thought it would be like a Band-Aid. All right, we'll get over it. You know? Everybody
Right.
gets over it after a while.
And that's the nice thing about the support groups, because things come out that you're thinking, that everybody else in the room is thinking as well. Because you're frustrated, you're angry, but most of it's fear. Most of it we live is fear. And, you know, we just need to find that coping mechanism just to get us through each day. And the support groups out there are great because you can talk to other people that are going through the same exact thing. And it's hard because when you have a husband and a wife dealing with a child, they're not always on the same page.
No, we used to fight all the time. Me and my husband would fight all the time,
Very
like
common,
over
very
it.
common, and it's very difficult. when
Yeah,
you're-
and if you think about it, like, you know what I mean?
We were never on the same page. When one of us was, like, trying to help her, the other one wanted to play bad cop, good cop. But then we'd go in there, like, just all wrong, like the other guys. Like, we're both bad cop today.
Yeah.
Or, like, I would get so mad because, you know, we'd get her. The only time we would actually be able to sleep is if she was in rehab or jail. We were like,
Right.
okay, we can
That's
sleep.
the only way you can
We know
sleep.
where she's
yeah,
at.
that's the only way you
That's
can
true.
sleep.
And then, like, I remember one Thanksgiving, it was all nice, you know, she was in rehab. We finally had a
yeah.
meal, and all of a sudden that night I'm eating my pie, and they're all like, we're going to get Chris. I'm like,
Golden
damn
Tier.
it!
Golden
Gotta
Tier.
go through
Yeah,
this
God,
again.
that's it.
She has to come home for pie.
I remember that. Came in a trash bag.
No, but I mean, like, I remember, I don't know if we were at the crisis center the one time or whatever, when I took her to the crisis center, and I met this other parents, and they had a girl too.
Lower Bucks Crisis Center.
Yeah, and
Michael's chiming in my 3 golden girls.
That's my brother.
I kind of like, I kind of connected with that mother for, because she was kind of like going through what I was going through. So, because I really couldn't talk to anybody. I couldn't talk to
Right.
anybody in work. I
Right.
was embarrassed. I was
Right.
totally embarrassed. There was nobody I could talk to. Mm-hmm. So, I do remember like that one mother, you know, I talked to her and I was like, wow, I'm not the only one in this situation. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like we could sit there, because both of our girls was in a crisis center. Mm-hmm. So it's not like either one of us had an idea of how to fix the situation.
Right.
But we could just talk to each other about it and to know that we're going through the same stuff.
Right. 'Cause I know, and I say it all the time on the show, that you go into a meeting and you're like, I can't go in there. What if my neighbor's there? And it's like, well, if your neighbor's there, guess what? They're going through the same
Yeah.
thing. But that's not your thinking.
No, like I'm really, and you know what? It's like everybody today has somebody in their family that's going through an
Yes.
addiction problem. They just don't like say it.
Yes.
And yeah, of course, like I was kind of embarrassed because, you know, the people that I worked with and all were all just seemed upper class. And here I am from, you know, Philly, and you know what I mean? Like,
She's a Philly girl.
she's
Yeah.
a Philly girl going down, you know, to Kensington to get her drugs. And I just, it was just like, I can't tell nobody.
Right.
And I don't think anybody, you know, really knew the extent of it. Like, you know, oh, Chrissy's just drinking on the weekends or something like that. But I don't think
Right.
the rest of the family truly
No, they didn't.
knew what the hell, like, we went through for so many. I don't even remember how many years it's been.
I actually didn't start using like heroin until like 30s.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like touched cocaine in all like 20s, like when I got into the bar scene and stuff.
But none of our family, none
But,
of our
like,
family
yeah.
knew how bad it was either, because my sister-in-law and all would be like, after I just went through this, opened up to her about that this is a
Drinking and all.
problem and all, she wants to take her out to drinking and stuff, and nobody understands, like an
They didn't
addict
think it was like a
can't
problem
have,
or nothing.
yeah, a drug
Right.
addict can't even have a drink because
Right.
then they start partying and then they go into the further things, and our family members didn't, they just,
a
I don't know
lot
if they
of
didn't
people do
understand or
that.
they
A lot
didn't
of
get
people
it.
don't realize
Yeah.
that. It's
But
pretty common.
and then I felt like I was stabbed in the back because you just went against everything that I've been talking about and took my daughter out drinking. And I'm like, I don't get it.
And
I
you know
don't-
what? And the education isn't there because it's not affecting them personally.
Yeah, they're like,
They're in another house. They're in another town. They're in another
then you're
state.
thinking, are you really crazy? Like, are you really that crazy that people are just not even...
They just don't realize the ramifications of addiction. They just think, well, she never had a problem with alcohol, it was the drugs.
Exactly,
So,
that
so
was
she'll be
the kind of
fine.
miscommunication there.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, she was a drug addict. She can drink. You know?
Now, how did you feel did you get angry with Christina more because she was hurting your parents?
No, I think, I mean, I was most angry, I think, because she was hurting everyone but herself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're just abusing yourself in the end.
Yes.
It's your body to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, emotionally, we're, all a wreck. But
Because I know a lot of siblings get so angry because they see the anguish and the anger and the disappointment and the hurt that they're doing to the parents and not caring about who they're walking
Well, it's a shame.
over.
Amy is the baby of the family. But Amy it's a shame because she always seemed to get stuck with cleaning up the mess of family problems.
Mm-hmm.
When it came to Chrissy, like taking care of her kids and just everything, like with all of us even having a problem. And Amy is the most straightest person, you know what I mean? She don't drink, she don't do drugs, nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
But she was the one, and she was the youngest one,
Mm-hmm.
who always got stuck with,
yeah, I think the one thing, like with sibling issues, is I never understood because I'm the baby and it's always supposed to be like, I'm supposed to be the problem and you guys are supposed to take care of me.
Right.
Whereas I felt like I'd be taking care of her.
Mm-hmm.
Like taking care of her mess.
Well, I got you now. I mean,
like
I
It's
think
a little late. No?
her kids were actually, I think, I know they were affected in some way. They were boys. And that was another fear. Like, oh my God, what are you doing to your children? Like, I've warned you this. I've told you this over and over again, how a child's life can go from addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't understand, like, why are you doing this?
Right.
Don't you see what's going to happen? But I think why she was in addiction, she didn't think that was really going to happen.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, as a whole family unit, like, it did affect, from sibling to parents to children, the whole thing. Like,
Yeah.
it really did.
And my father had a real big problem with alcohol, and I think of all the kids in the family, I was the one that kind of made it good for everybody. Just, to try and just keep the peace and keep calm and I mean that's my family's issue. We all seem to just try and make everything good for everybody, sweep everything under that rug and just let it billow up inside and that's hard. And it's always that one child that takes on that burden of trying to keep
Which it
everything
was
together.
Amy, Amy's the baby, you know what I mean? Like, she's the baby, but I think we've all learned so much, and it's a shame that anybody has to go through any of this.
Yes.
I'm telling you, I don't wish this on my worst enemy.
No,
I
this is a difficult one.
But it's a life experience.
Yes.
And like I said, everybody has them in their family.
Mm-hmm.
You
And
know what I mean?
recovery
Everybody does.
is amazing.
It really is.
I had a family therapist that always would say, if you think there's not addiction in somebody's family, shake that family tree hard enough, you'll be surprised.
Find 'em,
what comes
yeah.
out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like how Chrissy said, like, I hope it skips a generation. I mean, I doubt it. I've never seen it,
Right.
as far as I know. I
Right.
hope
No, I
it
hope it
does. I
just-
pray it does. But, I don't know. So the only thing you can think of is the skills that you learn
Right.
You know, if you are an addict with rehab, meetings, I mean, like, meetings aren't for everybody, but
Right.
in Chrissy's case, this kind of really gave her that so
Right.
much more support.
Right. And the
So-
meetings weren't good for you in the beginning, right? You didn't want
She
to
had
be
to find
there.
her own little group,
Yeah.
right?
No, I think she had to finally like just accept it and
Surrender
and-
to it.
Yeah.
Just say that I do have a problem and I can't control it.
and actually work with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can go to the meetings all you want if you're not going to do anything else.
Right. And a lot of people will go to the meetings because they know that they are the ones that are in the back of the class. They're there because of court or for whatever reason. They're not there for themselves. They're there to see where's the weak links, who's got the stuff, and they're just not ready.
Yeah.
They're just not ready to
You have
surrender
to
to
accept
that.
it. You have to surrender. You have to do the work. It's all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Every meeting that I have been to that Chrissy's taken me to, I have seen remarkable people. I have seen good people. You know what I mean? Who
And-
are addicts and they're so supporting with each other. I mean, of course you can see, you know what I mean? But there's not many.
Right.
There's more people in there who is working the program and
And
stuff like
The ones that
that.
aren't, they eventually fall
And
out.
they'll fade away.
Right.
You know what I
don't
mean?
see them anymore.
But
It's-
I think sometimes I get angry. Like, I've been to a few meetings that I've gotten actually angry at, though.
Mm-hmm.
And I just keep my mouth shut. But, you know, there's some people who believe, like, this is my addiction and it's only me. I'm doing it to myself. But,
Right.
like, in Chrissy's situation, she pulled our entire family into it. Like,
Right.
there's a huge gap in our lives that is just all about Chrissy's addiction. It wasn't my life. It wasn't my teenage years. It wasn't my 20s or, you know, my parents being grandparents.
Right.
Like, Amy turned into a mom. You know, they had to deal with Chrissy's addiction.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're kind of still in it, like, because it's still hard with, you know, we all live together.
Yeah, now my son, he's been on his own since he's been, I guess, by the time I think right after 21.
Mm-hmm.
Now Mikey, he was I remember, like, he partied, you know, here and there as a teenager, and I remember one time when they were a little bit older and Chrissy was doing drugs, and he was so upset. And he came to me and his father and said, they're doing drugs. This is what's happening, Ma. And he was just so upset about it. You know what I mean? And I think that really hit him hard. And then he would never know, because he moved outside of the house, so he really didn't know everything that was so much going on, which is a good thing, because he probably, you know, there would be another one that would be flipping
Right.
out. You know what I mean?
Right.
And him too, he was always like, nah, she'll be all right. You know, she's just drinking or whatever. You know what I mean?
We have a caller calling in. Hello, caller.
Yeah, hi. I wanted to just tell you that I really enjoy your show tonight. And I just wanted to direct a question towards Tina. If you were to give advice to the parents out there, what advice would you give them that you think would be helpful?
Oh boy. What would be helpful is just to know that you're not going to change that. You're not going to make them stop. I would suggest, like I said, be there for them, but sometimes you have to kind of also, if you have them living in your house, that's not always a good place to be. So it's best to, like I said, you can be there for them, but you can't do things to make that situation change. You're not going to stop them from doing it. You can kind of maybe let them know maybe about rehabs and things like that. You can give them information on that. Another thing would be is if you see that they're really out of control, just like heroin and stuff like that is pretty bad to where they can't even control it. that's where times where me and her father has had to go to the police and actually file a 302. And the judge would have to agree to that. And then they would come and take her away. So that's the only thing I can tell you. But for your own sake, just know in your head, you're not going to stop that.
No.
Be there, give information if you have to. You do a 302, but that's all you can really do.
Right.
Yeah, because I know a lot of parents feel guilty, like maybe it was something that they did wrong, that I not love them enough, they just, they beat themselves up over this, and
That I think every parent feels like that because, like, when they were younger, me and my husband would party and stuff. Mm-hmm. Well, I come from a family of addiction.
Right.
But I had her when I was 16. We were 16 years old, so we were still kind of in our partying years. So
Right.
we would drink on the weekends, play cards, stay up all night. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, you know what I mean? When she got out on her own finally, maybe she thought that that's what she was supposed to do or something.
Right.
I could go over in my head 100 times naming all kinds of reasons why it was my fault.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
Well,
it's common. You look back, like, did this, and I know that for me, being raised in that environment, there's just so much resentment, and they're losers, they're druggies or junkie, like you see them as the world had portrayed them back then. Skid Row, that's how you looked at it.
Oh yeah, Chrissy, you would never think that she was an addict. She never looked like,
Right.
all dirty looking and missing teeth and all this stuff. No.
Right.
Chrissy was a beautiful, proper girl, so you would never know that she was an addict.
If
Right.
you ever find her wearing a visor, you better look out.
Oh yeah,
But that's how, back in our days, that's how they were
You looked,
portrayed.
yeah,
That's so when it hits home so close, you have to get that education. You have to go wherever you can to find the help to help your loved one. And
well,
it's scary.
Yeah, but you gotta have, I guess you gotta have the information too, because I think at first when everything first happened, I really didn't know too much about rehabs. I didn't know, I knew there was, AA meetings, but I didn't know there was CA, NA. I didn't know all that.
And that was me too, because only alcoholics got help.
Right.
Only alcoholics did AA and NA. I didn't know there were rehabs that they had to go to you're a drunk, go to an AA meeting. I didn't even know NACA or
Yeah, I
any
didn't
of the
know
other
about that
A's.
stuff
I
either.
just knew AA. And I know when I first found out, that was the one thing. What do I do? How do I help this? How do I fix this? Where do I go? Who do I talk to?
well, thank you guys very much for sharing. I'm going to let you go.
Well, thank you for calling
Thank
in.
you.
All right, you guys, be safe. God bless.
Thank you. If anybody out there at this time has any questions that they want to give to our guests, you can give us a call in at 267-737-8031. Feel free to give us a call, ask your questions. We will give you our suggestions, share our experience. So give us a call or pop into our comments, and we will go through our comments and try and answer the best we can for you. again, we're here talking the family unit in recovery. Some pretty crazy times for the family. It's insane. And you just feel lost. You feel lost. I know that there's a lot of parents, spouses, siblings out there just peeking through that curtain because they don't want anybody to know. And the saddest part is everybody on that other side of the curtain already knows before the family does. They see them, getting the drugs passed to them at night, when all the lights on the house are off, so everybody thinks the whole family's in bed yet. You see them sneaking out in a car pulling up, and the neighbors are seeing this, and we're thinking that nobody knows. And funny thing is, the neighbors usually probably know well before the family does.
Yeah, I mean, I could just remember, Chrissy always going, what really would infuriate me is that me and my husband did everything we could to get the kids out of the bad neighborhood. So they wouldn't end up like this, okay? And here no lie, and she was actually taking buses and stuff to get down here, back down to get this stuff. So I don't even think our neighbors know.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
And it's so funny because parents, it's just like, well, we have to do this for them because, they won't know how to do this. So we have to do that. We have to do this. It's like, they can find that drug.
Yeah.
They'll go to any extent they need to find that drug. But yet they can't do their own laundry. They can't drive to a meeting. They can't walk to a meeting. But if they want a drug, they'll crawl to get that drug. So a lot of parents, and I know I was guilty of I got to leave this meeting early. I had to pick up my loved one and because they didn't have a car. I don't want them.
Oh yeah, I changed my whole life around. Like I worked at the time when this all started. Like I worked almost a 60-hour-a-week job. Mm-hmm. And then I couldn't handle it all. I couldn't because I wanted to be there for her. I was taking her to everywhere because it started out like whatever clinic she had to go to, I took her. So I would have to change my whole life to make sure she got taken to everything.
Right.
Because she didn't have a car and she didn't have this and that.
Now,
do you know what I mean?
Did you ever get to a point where she would go to a meeting and you would drop her off and then pretend you're driving home and just going around the corner and sitting and making sure she stayed in the meeting?
We've done plenty of that. Mm-hmm. We have done plenty of that.
You never took me to
No,
meetings.
not to meetings, but I think
You never took me to
watching to
meetings.
see what you were doing. I think.
Yeah, as soon as there was. I thought there was
Tracy
times
always took me to
when
meetings. When I'm at the CA, Tracy's always taking me.
I just
to
remember
meetings.
that place around the corner on Brownsville at the church.
That was different. That was NA and all CA. So I've been in.
Oh well,
recovery,
yeah, I
CA was
don't
all
know,
Tracy.
but I know the one around the
That was
corner on
NA.
Brownsville.
That was
Mm-hmm.
like different.
Your dad was going right around to see exactly if she was staying there. We were supposed to be in. I think they had like an Al-Anon
That
thing
was the Narnon thing you
or
spoke to.
Narnon or something, and it was vice versa.
Yeah,
and it was like
Scottsville.
he wanted to make
Scottsdale
sure she was
Yeah.
going in her part, and it was like
Yeah.
then like we didn't know what times that things would be over. So we were real nervous that hers would end first, and do you know what I mean? So we kind of had anxiety. We wanted to get out of there so that we could make sure we were there, like to be there for her.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's crazy what we can do to ourselves. And I don't know, when she would leave the house, would you scour the bedroom and go through everything? And
I always, I've done it. I just really don't like going through, even when they're a teenager, I don't
I
even
think
like
that just
going
makes
through
you
their
crazier.
personal stuff. But
It's-
there was times where I had to be like, I remember calling her PO because I was like, I know she's doing something, and I know she's got, but I'm not going to go rooting through her room. And he would come. So,
No, I
'Cause-
found drugs before, and Phil got mad at me for finding them again. I'm like, so no matter what you do, it's either going to be there or it's not. You're wasting your time.
exactly.
I mean, I used to, because would always try and figure out what she was doing. I remember one time I pulled every piece of her clothing off of her to see if she was shooting up. Like, I've checked her fingers, her toes. Like, so many random things. Just, I remember at one point, it was like my job to watch her when we were living in the
Yeah,
apartments.
that
And
was
finally,
horrible.
I called my mom at work. I was like, I can't do this anymore. It's making me crazy.
Right.
Because I was basically in charge to make sure she wasn't doing anything
Right.
wrong.
Here's the leash. Sit.
But then she would lock herself in the bathroom.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, what is she doing in there? What is she doing in there?
Run the water.
Yeah, like,
Shower.
I remember the mirror fell off the wall
I remember
somehow.
that.
And I'm like, she must be hiding drugs behind there. It must have fell off because she was hiding. Like, you make yourself
Yourself
crazy.
crazy.
And, like, it's
Yes.
going to happen or it's not. There's nothing you can do to change that.
Yes. And David, yes. Knowing you have a support is probably the most important, no matter if you are a family member or you are the one that is in recovery. Support is where everything's at. That's what we need to really grasp onto, is the support that we need as family members to know what other family members have done and failed with, and what other family members have done and succeeded with.
David.
And Michael's made a point to make it that being the middle child and his struggles.
oh my Lord. Let's not go on about Michael now.
No, I
Because
do
he took
wonder.
a large majority of my life.
No, I do wonder his experience because he didn't live in the house at the time. He was the only family member on the outside,
Right.
and we all worked together dealing
the
with
call-in.
it. So
Because I would
always
be
wonder-
calling him, crying to him, so like.
Like, I don't think he knew the extent of it until you were
Yeah.
living with him. and
Okay,
then he
Mike.
went
Yeah,
through it.
Mikey, call in.
All right, Michael, we have 15 minutes left. Why don't you give us a call in and give us your spin on this? 267-737-8031. It's right on the side under Living Hopeful.
How'd that last caller sound?
He sounded very familiar. He sounded very familiar.
The test.
Yeah, like Mikey, he was saying that when he was younger, watching that Basketball Diaries, scared to death of him of drugs. I've never seen of it. I've never seen it.
I haven't seen
I
it.
didn't
Right.
watch it until I was an adult. Like, I was already in drugs.
It was still already too late.
Yeah,
They
it
showed
was.
us in school.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
see it
he
until I was
saw
like
it in
30.
school or something,
I
and he
didn't.
said that
Maybe
scared him
boys
to
saw
death.
it.
I
or-
was already like,
Maybe he was in a program or something
no, I was
for
already
troubled kids.
Yeah. Now, what did you
still
think
awake,
of,
Mikey.
what did you think of the DARE program? Did it help you or hurt you?
When I was in school, I was like, that's never gonna be me. Like,
I got
was
the
like,
Dare medal.
That tire is awesome. Like,
Yeah.
that's
'Cause
me.
I talked to a lot of them when I would go down to Kensington and help, hand out food and everything. And they were like, oh, that taught me what drug to do to take away what
Oh no.
feeling I was feeling. And
I got the certificate. Like everything. That tiger was the coolest thing.
hey, Stacy. Yeah, they,
It was a lion.
Is that what it was? Maybe that's why I failed in life.
Yeah. You were painting stripes on instead. I'm not high. Chrissy, give me my makeup back.
That's probably why I failed and I became an addict. No, that's not what I learned about the DARE program. I can't believe they really told you that.
Oh, I hear it
things
from a
change.
lot of them.
I don't even
That's
remember. I was so young. I don't
Like
remember.
that's you want to learn that though, right? Like what drugs to do.
They didn't do
Now,
You're lying.
a lot of them tell me on the street, like,
How
oh my
old were
God,
they?
yeah.
Like my age or like young kids?
Like 30, 20 some,
That's
30.
insane.
Oh my
But they
Lord.
were, and these
Mikey
were the
must be
people that had, I guess, like feeling anxiety, and they were learning about the drug and not. I'm like, that's crazy.
Like they
Dare-
just taught you like drugs were bad, don't do them, or you're gonna end up homeless, and like
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I one day I'm gonna check out the Basketball Diaries, but
it was a good
I mean, I
movie,
don't-
very good.
yeah, I used to work in the school district and all, but it's been many years since I don't work there anymore, and maybe it's something that they can start bringing back and kind of doing.
It's very graphic.
If you can grab a few while they're young, like
Yeah.
There are other programs that are better. Like
I haven't
have
been
some-
in the school district.
But,
So,
many
Pennsylvania
years.
don't want to budge on that.
So Happer Horsham, like 2 years ago, I spoke at a program that they had for I guess like kids that I guess were like I don't know bad. I don't know. Happer Horsham High School, they had it. Is that Mike?
we have a caller calling in.
Maybe it is Mikey.
Hello, caller.
Hello.
Mikey.
Hello,
son.
ladies.
If you do not want to, anybody know who you are?
I'm sorry, son.
Elliot.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's all right.
So, Mike, how are you dealing with Chrissy's recovery?
Well, right now I'm like extremely proud of her, the road that she came from. There was times, you know, like where I've gotten phone calls from family friends where we had to go get her, and I had to go meet people, you know, and then meet my parents up at a rehab, and it was always worried. It was tough dealing with it. I don't know exactly how many years she dealt with it, me being out of the home.
Right.
But it was always heartbreaking, and you're always worried when your mom was calling you late at night that you were gonna, you know, hear your older sister was dead.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've gotten the phone calls of where I think she was dead, to where
Right.
at her friend Michelle's house there was like a big storm or something, and I had to go up there and meet my grandparents and stuff. But I mean, she came a long road. She still has a lot of road ahead of her, but there's so much more life to live, and she could do so much more.
Yes.
You know, so right now our family's just extremely proud of her and how far she's come.
Mm-hmm. And it is. The program of recovery is amazing.
It was something we don't know about, so I guess we're all still being educated on it.
Right.
There needs to be more education on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like they keep talking about the movie The Basketball Diaries. I think that's a great educational piece that they should be showing.
Mm-hmm.
It's about a young athlete that was playing basketball, and his coach or pastor was molesting him, and they got into drugs, and it completely ruined his life. And it always made me like, I would never want to be like that.
I'll probably be
Yeah, so-
watching that tonight. So.
Yeah, I think it's something that I've probably seen it when I was probably 10, 11 years old. It's got Leonardo DiCaprio in it, Mark Wahlberg.
I
So it's a lot
probably
of great
saw
actors.
it. I've probably
Yeah,
seen
when
it.
they're younger, yeah. But
Now-
it shows both sides of it.
Right. Now, have you, any of you seen Beautiful Boy or read the
Yes.
book?
No,
I've seen the
I
movie.
haven't. No.
It was on
No.
Amazon, I think.
Yeah, it's on Amazon. Really good book to read. I read the book and the movie was really good. The other one, Ben is Back. That's also a good one, but
We seen that, didn't we?
Did we?
Is that the one with
The I didn't. I don't
With
think
the
I
lips.
watched that whole thing.
what's her name?
Julia?
Yeah,
Roberts.
Julia Roberts.
And Steve Carell is
Yeah.
the boy one.
The Beautiful Boy. Yeah.
They're good.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Looking forward to seeing the new one that's coming out in April. I
With
for-
Mila 40s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to
Me
seeing
too.
that.
Ask Mike if he had any resentment, like during Christine's, you know, addiction like that, like any resentment with putting the parents through all that grief and agony. Like, what was his feelings at that time? Did he feel like he was maybe left on the back burner?
Was that towards me? I'm sorry.
Yes,
Yeah, Mike,
that's true.
yeah, like, how did you feel like during that time? Did you feel like maybe your parents were ignoring you somewhat because they were giving most of the attention towards Christine?
I mean, there's at times of like that, but I guess the way we were raised, it was we never thought of like that. We've always thought of each other. Like we never sit there and say, well, why am I not getting any attention to me because my sister's going through this? It was more like, all right, we got to figure out how to help my sister get through this. I mean, yeah, we've got put on the back burner. I think a lot of things, like we're missing out on certain things, and I've distanced myself a little bit from my family at that time when things were like going on, because I was busy taking care of my own family.
Right.
And then I think it got to the point to where it really broke my parents, and Chrissy had to live with me for a little bit, and I didn't know anything about it, and you notice things going missing around the house, and you're like, wait a minute.
Right.
And then it's like, all right, maybe she is, and then my wife actually, found drugs, and then I actually had, you have to go away, and I don't know if that was one of the things, one of the moments right before Chrissy actually started really going into her meetings and on that road to recovery. I think might have started around that point.
It was that breaking point, kind
I
of.
think it was like, all right.
She kind of did it on her own, and then finally went to the crisis center and everything. And I remember meeting her there.
Followed.
Yeah, like
that's
me
when
and all
that
my
happened.
sisters, we always been tight, you know what I mean? And we've never had any hate or resentment towards each other. I think it's just an issue that you deal with as a family.
Right.
It's just not one person's issue, because it affects, like, it affected my wife. My wife was heartbroken,
Right.
that she couldn't help her sister-in-law, and
Right.
we had young kids at the time, and she was like, well, what if Joshua would have found that and something would have happened? And
Right.
so she got really angry at one point too, but it was just, I guess you still have that love for your family, and you're always going to have it, and you would do anything to help them.
Right. Now, have you gotten anything regifted?
Nah.
He lived too far for her to walk things over.
Like,
Yeah, couldn't
Even
carry
that,
no
like,
couches.
like materialistic items can be replaced, but your sister can't.
Not exactly.
So I could replace a PlayStation video game or something like that. But-
I was Richie. He admitted it.
well,
Let's
that's
be
the thing.
honest.
Like even my wife's brother, I guess he's went through it as well.
Right.
And you don't know. You had your sister. You love your brother-in-law, and you love your sister, and she loves her sister-in-law, and she loves her brother.
Right.
And it's like, all right, what can we do? They just need a place to stay, and and then it's like, I don't know what to do. I mean,
Right. Tough love.
So
It's
I mean, I don't think I've ever thought I was ever on a back burner. I think we've had really great parents. I've seen them go through their struggles of trying to make things better for us.
Right.
So I kind of wanted to, like, all right, well, I got to do the same thing, and I can't worry about me being put on the back burner. I got to do what my parents worked so hard for, and I got to kind of keep that going for my kids.
right.
So I guess
Good for
that's
you.
never even crossed my mind or anything like that.
And I guess it's hard because, not hard, but different because you didn't live at home, so you didn't see the chaos and all of that.
I mean, you get that more, I think, is when you're a kid. Like, I'd be pissed off my sister. She got straight A's, and I got D's, and I'm punished for a summer. I mean, that
Being
kind
the
of
middle child with two
But-
sisters, it was just a challenge brushing your teeth in the bathroom, I'm sure.
yeah, but
You probably brushed them out in the garage before you're going out to work or something.
yeah, like it's always like, all right, Mikey's punished. Chrissy got straight A's. Like Chrissy was really, I guess, like high in our family. Like, she always had straight A's. Valedictorian up there. She was the first one of us to go to college, and then you were surprised to say, yeah, Chrissy's addicted to heroin. It's like, you got
And she's the golden
almost hurt
child.
there,
Like,
but
It's an
You
equal
know, it's like, there's
opportunity
no way.
destroyer, it really is.
you kind of ignore. I wouldn't say ignore the fact, or you would say, no, that's not her. You know what I mean? And then it's like a couple of years into it, my mom calls me and she's like, yeah, Chrissy just got locked up in Box Scouts again. I'm like, what?
Boss cops. Come on,
Or
girl.
something.
Probably not even supposed to be in Boy Scouts
she was
anymore.
scamming.
I mean, Chrissy
Yeah,
was always
but-
good at everything, even at
Scamming.
addiction.
But yeah, I guess even like with like I still live around here. I live at Aramingo and Allegheny. I volunteer in the area just so you don't see kids go down that fast. you know?
Right,
It's
right,
the area I came from.
right.
So definitely an education that the world really doesn't know about. And
Right.
needs to be educated more about.
Yeah, we do. We definitely have to get, and that's why it's important to share this out, because there's so many people that are still hiding behind that curtain and peeking out and not getting the support and the knowledge and the education that we so desperately need with addiction.
Yeah, more of people are afraid to reach out, especially to like family members, because you think like as for my parents are probably really extremely embarrassed.
Right.
It's like, how do I tell other people that I'm going through this with my daughter, because they're going to judge you, you know?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And then it would spread.
Yeah, and I, in the beginning, we were very sheltered with the people. The only people that we told were those that we were worried that our loved one would run to get money, or anything that they would need to get their drugs. So everybody kind of kept it hush hush and quiet, and it wasn't until my loved one came out on Facebook and shared his recovery that I started getting very vocal with addiction and recovery, because I remember that I was, where do I go? How do I get help? Like, I don't know what even to do. Everybody I grew up with was dead from heroin in the 80s. So I was like, I didn't see anything but death for my loved one. So I was just devastated. So that's why I pretty much got into helping a couple organizations to kind of learn and give back and help the addict, because somebody else was there for my loved one when I couldn't be. So I thought, well, if they're helping him and he's staying where he needs to be, then I'm going to do that for another mother. And that's why I got into helping those on the street. And I just see how much help is there for them on the street. They'll never go hungry. They'll always have clothes. So the resources are just so available to them, and they know it. They know that they're not going to use it until they're ready. So I started gearing towards the family, helping the family members, helping those that don't know the system or know how to go about it.
Just like an advocate. Well,
right.
Yeah, a liaison.
A liaison.
I had
Yeah.
a liaison. That's the word I was thinking. Somebody to kind of like.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a.
Well, Michael, thank you for calling in.
Thanks,
Okay,
Mikey.
you guys are doing a great job. Keep educating people on this, like my sister.
Yes.
We're so proud of her, to how far she's become and the way she's trying to help others now. I think
Yes.
it's great. She goes and does her motivational speeches at the other areas.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep it going, Chrissy, all right? I love you guys.
Thank
All
you.
right,
Love
love
you
you
too.
too, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. And Larry,
Bye-bye.
have a good night.
Thanks, Larry.
See you
Thank you,
tomorrow.
Laura. Thanks for
And
tuning in.
before we go this evening, the show is ending. But before we head out, any family member that is in the Lower Bucks area, Montgomery, it doesn't really matter. There is a meeting, an in-person meeting tomorrow at Living Green's Oxford Valley location. And I just want to give you... It is from 11 o'clock to 12:30. So if you are in the area, I know that it is the holidays, so it is tough to get going there, but it is at 195 Bristol Oxford Valley Road in Langhorne. Again, it is from 11 until 12:30. So if you are in need of support, you are a family member, a parent, sibling, we will be meeting in person for a support meeting. And it is not a fellowship, it is a crosstalk type meeting. So come on out and get stuff off your chest. That's probably the best thing you can do in this situation is to talk, get it out, so you're not sitting and stewing in it. So with that, guys, I want to thank Christina again, Tina, and Amy for coming out and chatting with us. Hope somebody got something out of this. And have a great Easter. Have a great week. We'll be back here next Friday. We will have Bob Matthews again. We're going to be discussing MAT, medically assisted treatment. So tune in and we'll see you next Friday. Peace out.
Peace out.
Thank you,
Thanks.
guys. Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Works of the work.
What an excellent day for an exorcism.